Okay guys, so we've had a few videos there with a few more intricate kind of editing sessions, and now I just want to kind of do a bit of a quick rapid fire sort of session. I'm just going to use the 3 photos that I took at the recent 5-day workshop. So these 3 here. Now, as you can see, these were shot in the same lighting situation in exactly the same place. So all of the settings are all the same. Everything is all there. You know, everything's all the same. Nothing was really changed in terms of settings or lighting or anything for these photos. And I just want to show you in editing these photos how easy it is and how quick it is to edit photos like this when they're shot properly and when they're lit properly and they're just a nice quality shot that's been well thought out. So as you can see, beautiful and sharp, eyes are in focus. They're just really lovely, very simple photos. Like there's nothing special about these, nothing too crazy at all. It's just well lit, well directed, well posed, and they look beautiful, and they're the fundamentals of putting together any kind of album or just giving this couple photos for their wall. So all right, so we're just going to go through, and as I said, we're going to make this rapid fire because I'm going to go through all 3, and I'm going to do all 3 in this video. And because they are shot the way they are, they're not going to take very long to do. So what I am going to do is I'm just going to run through the Retouch for Me panel. I'm going to run that on all of the photos. All right, there we go. So our Retouch for Me panel has finished doing its stuff. I'm just going to check these to see what Retouch has done. Just want to make sure that our skin tone looks all right. Yeah, so that's skin tone's taken a little bit out of his ear, out of our model. Removed it from his ear a little bit, so I'm just going to rub that out. So once again, I've added an adjustment layer, and I'm going to remove it with the black brush, set on normal, and we'll go to about 50%, and then I'm just going to paint the color in his ear back in. And paint a little bit of his lips, a little bit of his eyes, a bit of her lips. And we're good. Cool, so that one's fine. Let's have a look at this one. Everything else with the Retouch panel looks pretty good. It's just the skin tone can take a little bit of color out of lips and stuff like that. So with these photos, because they are shot quite nicely, there's no real need for the whole skin tone panel really to be run, but I like running it just in case there is something that I miss. I'm just going to rub out a little bit of stuff here just to add a bit of color back into where it's been removed. Cool, that one's good. So we'll notice the same with this one. So we've lost a bit of color in his lips. So again, just going to add layer. Whoop. Won't do that. We only want 1 layer mask, black brush, and I'm just going to add the color back into his lips and a bit in his cheeks, her lips, just to make sure that we're good. All right, so I'm going to flatten all of those now because I'm happy with how they all look. All right, so once again, guys, these aren't award-winning photos by any stretch. Yes, they're posed beautifully. Yes, they're nice and clean. Everything looks lovely, but they're not award photos. They're just beautiful quality everyday work. And if this is the kind of work that you can do every day, and this is what you can give your couples every day, then that's fantastic. So because they are, as I said, shot quite nicely, all I want to do is just go through and check a few things, get anything that stands out. I'm not going to use any presets, anything like that, because they look beautiful as they are. And the moment you go adding presets and adding stuff like that to it, you change skin tones, you do stuff that just doesn't really need to be done to the image. And they're beautiful as they are. Like they need very, very little work. So I challenge you to shoot like this and you know, try and get it as right as you can in camera, because it really does limit the amount of time that you have to spend in Photoshop and that sort of stuff afterwards. So what we're going to do is, so there's a couple of little things that I have noticed in her dress. There is a hole in her dress. So this little bit here. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to see what our patch tool will do. So content aware patch tool. Let's see how we go. Fantastic, that's done. So that's going to be in the same spot in this photo as well. So we'll just grab this piece. Content aware patch tool. Done. Okay, so if this was an award photo or it was something like that, then you'd go the extra mile to make sure that the texture remained the same and that sort of stuff. But you know, because it's only a very small part of the overall image, then you know they're not going to see it, because if you look at it, it's a very, very small part of the image. All right, so first thing we're going to do is, once I've done that, I'm just going to look over the image from corner to corner and just pick out anything that is a bit of a distraction. So with this one, the curtain here is a little bit bright. Obviously the light's coming from this direction, but the curtain is a little bit bright, so I want to darken that back. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my dodge and burn action, select the burn tool, white brush. I'm going to go to about 40%, and then I'm just going to burn this back. Now because I have pressed on it quite a few times, I have gone to 100%, but I don't recommend going to 100% straight away, because it can be a little bit dark if you have an action similar to this. We just want to darken it gradually, because that way you can stop if you need to. So also I just want to darken this side just a little bit. Cool. Down here and down here just a little bit. So with this shot, because he is facing away from the light, he is a little bit darker in the front, so we're just going to add a little bit of the burn tool, the dodge tool, just to brighten his face a little bit, and then we're pretty much done with that. I am going to run that again just so that I can get, oops, that's the wrong button there. Just so that we can burn that just a little bit more. Just so it's not as noticeable. Cool. Happy with that. And then if I go to my actual burn tool, see, when you go to a normal burn tool, what it does is it changes the color, which I'm not a big fan of. This way, we're working in luminosity layers, so it's not changing the color, it's only adjusting the luminosity. So I'm just going to run over that section again with my burn tool, just because I want to darken that. There we go. Cool. All right, and then everything else I'm pretty happy with in that image, so we're going to move on to the next one. All right, so again, look around, see what stands out, see what's a distraction. So curtain's a little bit bright here, but we don't want to darken it too much because we need context. And they've got a bit of a white or a lighter part over here, which I'm not a super big fan of. So what I'm going to do, instead of just burning that out, I'm going to patch tool, content aware that, and see where the dust settles. Cool, that's done that nicely. There's another lighter bit here which I want to get rid of as well. So we're going to do exactly the same, patch content aware. Yep, that's fine, I'm happy with that. And then again, I'm going to go back to my dodge and burn. So the dodge and burn, this is an action that I have. I didn't create this action. This action was created by one of the incredible photographers here in Australia, Rocco Ancora. I'm not sure if you can buy these actions from him anymore, but for those that did manage to buy them when they were available, they are invaluable. So this is what I'm using. I'm sure if you look around, you'll be able to find things that are very similar. I know with the actions from Rocco that everything is done properly. There's no corners cut, which makes the photos look even more incredible. So we're going to go back to the burn tool here. White brush to paint it in. Going to go to about 40%, and I'm just going to darken that off a little bit. I'm just going to darken this off just a little bit, and I'm going to darken the curtain back here a little bit, and there we go. Don't really need to lighten anything there, so we're good. I'm going to flatten that as well. Go back to this one, yeah, we flatten that, and then this one here. Not really anything we need to adjust so much here. I am going to go dodge and burn just because I want to darken down slightly this front part of his jacket, just a touch, but that's about it, just to give it a kind of a vignette, I guess, to a degree. I'm going to flatten that. All right, so next thing I'm going to do is I just want to have a look at image pop again, which is another Rocco Ancora action. Just want to see what that does. So that does obviously add a lot of contrast and does make some pretty serious changes to the photo. I do like it, but I don't like it at full power, so I'm just going to put it at about 20%, I think. That gives me a nice kind of balance there, but I'm just going to go to the gradient map in here, change to a black brush, and I'm just going to rub out these highlighted parts with that black brush, because obviously with more contrast, that will make brighter parts brighter and darker parts darker. Cool, I'm happy with that. So that's 20%. Whoops, that wasn't supposed to happen. All right, so let's go to this one again, image pop. So we're going to do the same thing to all of them because we want everything to be consistent. So we're going to go 20%. Just look where that. Yep, that looks good. There's no real crazy bright parts here. Maybe on her cheek a little bit, but that's about it. I'm happy with that. And then this one here, image pop, same thing again. You can see that it does make a pretty substantial change to the image. So again, consistent, same as the last ones, about 20%. And just take a little bit of it off her dress. But apart from that, that's it. So, guys, as they stand, they're well directed. They're beautifully lit. We're shooting highlights against shadows, so they stand out against the background. There is really not much more that we need to do to these. With retouch, for me, their skin looks really, really nice. There's not even really any need to do any skin softening or anything like that. Like, it's just, I kind of wouldn't really do any more. I'm happy with how the colors look. So as far as these go, I think we're done. So as you can see, once they're shot and directed beautifully and lit beautifully, there's really very little that you need to do to them afterwards in Photoshop. So I think we're gonna wrap those out there, guys, because they look really lovely. Potentially, maybe the only thing that I may do is just a little bit of selective sharpen on some of, probably on all of them. We'll go to a white brush because we're going to paint in the sharpening, and I'm just going to go to 50%. But what I'm going to do is, all I'm going to do is sharpen the more detailed areas. So we're going to give her hair a little bit of a sharpen. We're going to give his beard a little bit of a sharpen as well. Sharpen his eyes. Now I'm just doing this very rough because everything kind of looks pretty good, so we don't really need to go too deeply into it. So as you can see, you know, there's not a lot there that that we need to do. Might just put a little bit of sharpening on his hair. There we go. And maybe just a little bit on this part of her dress, a little bit on the suit, just so that we can see a bit of texture in the suit. That was probably a little bit too much. Might back that back a little bit. There we go. And we're done. Background's beautifully soft, still detail in the curtains. They're nice and sharp in the foreground. Same as this one. Obviously he's slightly out of focus here, so we don't really need to sharpen him at all. What I am going to do is go to 50 again, and we're going to sharpen her hair a little bit, and just a bit of sharpening on her eye and her lips, and we're done. That one's done. And with this one, there's a little bit more going on in this one, so there's a few things that we can give a bit of a sharpen up, and as you can see, they're on the same kind of plane. So I'm going to go a bit of sharpening on her hair, and a little bit of sharpening on his as well. A little bit on his beard, on both of their lips, him, his whole eye area, her just on the eyebrow and on her eyelashes. I'm going to sharpen up her ring a little bit here on the dress. Don't really need to worry about her skin because Retouch for me has looked after all of that for us. Now jacket's a little bit dark here. We're losing a little bit of shadow detail here in the jacket. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to drop this down a bit, and we'll add a bit of sharpening to the jacket, which will bring back a little bit of that highlight detail, or detail in the shadow that is within it. Flatten image. And look, I'm happy with that, guys. They're a little bit dark at the top there of their heads, but that's not the focus point. The focus point is here. Yeah, look, I'm happy with all of those. They're really nice. So I'm just going to save those. Done. And there we go. So a bit of rapid fire there. It just goes to show that it doesn't take very much, and you don't need all the presets, all the other stuff to create beautiful looking photos, because they all look amazing now, and the couple will be incredibly happy with both of those. So yeah, that's all we need to do.